Today, we're gonna talk about filming during blue hour. It is one of my favorite times to shoot, but it's also one of the easiest moments to mess up if you are not prepared. In this video, I'll walk you through my step-by-step approach on how I shoot blue hour. Everything from preparation on location to my camera settings and how I handle the footage in post. And by the end of this journey, you will be a pro on how to capture blue hour. Step 1 is preparation. Before we start filming, it's really good to know when is blue hour actually happening. The exact timing changes depending on where you are and the time of the year. So I usually check photo pills, or you can simply Google blue hour today and just add the location you are at. I like to be at the location at least 1 hour before blue hour starts. Usually I am already there anyway because I'm capturing golden hour, but more importantly, I think it's just getting familiar with the location so I'm not making decisions in a rush once blue hour hits. For this video, I'm focusing on the blue hour after sunset. I like assigning meaning beyond what is happening in my image. So for me, the evening blue hour feels much calmer, more introspective, and that emotional difference comes through in the final image. Step number 2, camera settings. I lock my basic settings so I don't have to think about them once the light starts changing. I shoot at 24 frames per second with a shutter speed of 1/50. This creates motion blur, meaning moving subjects don't look sharp and choppy, but smooth and realistic, the same way our eyes perceive motion in real life. I always set my white balance manually. This is really important because the auto white balance can shift from shot to shot as it gets darker, so I set my Kelvin somewhere around 5000. Once these are set, I don't touch the shutter speed or the white balance during blue hour because I want my footage to look consistent throughout the whole evening. Step 3 is ISO. Now that the basic settings are out of the way, the only setting that I will change during filming is my ISO. I usually start with a low ISO, and as it gets darker, I slowly increase it to keep my exposure where it needs to be. The light changes so quickly that you kind of have to adjust and see what is happening on your screen and what is happening in front of your lens. I think there is kind of a balance. You want footage that is usable, so try to not push your camera over its capabilities, but it's okay if there is a little bit of noise on your footage. Step 4 is aperture. Try using a lens that has a wide aperture. Personally, I tend to use my RF lenses at 2.8, and that works great for me. The wider your aperture, the more light you let in, and the less you need to push your ISO, and so this results in having less noise on your footage. If your lens only goes down to f4, that is completely fine. It just means that you will have a shorter window to shoot during blue hour. You might have to increase your ISO much sooner, but you can still get blue hour footage, so don't worry about it. Step 5, manual focus. Whenever I'm filming during blue hour, I always switch to manual focus because I have found that the autofocus tends to struggle when it gets too dark. If your camera has something called focus peaking, use it. It is so helpful. I use it all the time. It will add a usually red line to your screen and shows you what is in focus. You can also use something called the magnification tool to basically zoom in and check your focus. One thing that really helps with focusing is using a light. For instance, if you are shooting alone, put the light where you plan to stand, focus on it, and then turn it off before you start recording. If I want this silhouetted look, I place my subject between the camera and the brightest part of the sky. However, if you want a bit more light on someone's face, try to avoid the following mistake. Don't place the person on the opposite side of the light source. In this case, the light was directly behind the camera, and it will give you a very flat looking image. Instead, try moving your subject so the light comes from the side, around a 45-degree angle. This creates more shadows and gives you much more interesting results. Step 6. Practical lights. Generally, I try to integrate practical lights in a very natural and organic way. I try to think about something that I'm carrying with me anyway, like a headlamp or a light inside a tent. I also love using the lights that are already in the environment, like city lights, street lights, or headlights, and so on. By the way, if you want to go deeper into this, I have started a Patreon where I'm sharing a lot more resources and exclusive content that only lives on there. So if that sounds interesting to you, you can check it out in the link in the description. So I'll see you there. Step 7. Color grading. When it comes to post-production, I try to make the least amount of adjustments possible because the footage is so dark already, and if you push it too much, it's gonna break apart, it's gonna look dirty, so I try to get it right in camera and then do really subtle changes. I edit and grade all my footage in DaVinci Resolve, so let's jump into my process. I first convert my log footage to Rec 709 using a utility LUT to bring back normal contrast and color. I then create a node for my exposure where I increase the highlights to add a bit more contrast and bring the blacks and shadows down just a bit. Next, I will add another node for my color. Here I will add some saturation, but only in the blues. I then adjust my hues and push the blues into a slight teal color. For me, color grading is all about playing around a bit and see what looks good to my eyes. You can also click on a part of the image to figure out what color to adjust. Next up, I will play around with the colors in the highlights. I try to go a bit crazy on the look to better see what is being affected and then bring it back to make it look very subtle. I sometimes add a bit of blues in the midtones as well. Again, this will be very subtle, but it will make a difference in the final result. Next, I will add a power window to have a bit more contrast on the edges. I draw the window, then invert it and bring down the shadows. This is a step I do on most of my footage because I find that it draws more focus to our subject. When I get to this point, I have a bit more of an overview of the look that I created, and I might go back into earlier notes to make some more changes. The process is not very linear, as you can see, and it may also vary depending on what I shot and how intense the light was on that day, and so on. Now let's have a look at the final image. I think it looks really good like this. We made it to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed this breakdown. I hope you learned something. If you end up shooting any Blue Hour footage, please make sure to tag me on Instagram at Julie Gartner or send me a DM, and I would love to see it. If you have more questions, feel free to leave a comment, like, and of course, subscribe. I see you next time, and happy Blue Hour.